What is up, fall fiends of the Forge? It's the best time of year. Horror movies, leaves falling, and you guessed it, a fantastic month of metal releases. I actually had a really hard time narrowing down my picks, didn't you?
Yeah, dude. Super hard month.
Yeah, it was pretty hard to do this. But we do have a few honorable mentions this month, so those will be in the description. We put everything in a Spotify playlist for you guys. The link is also in the description for those of you who are interested in utilizing that. Before we get into our top picks, what are some of your favorite albums of October? Let us know in the comments. Let's get to our first pick. The first one on my list is Enslaved, Utgard. This came out October 2nd on Nuclear Blast. The progressive black metal titans are back with what I would argue is their best record since Ritter. Don't at me. I'm sure someone will, but you know. Utgard is a absolutely fantastic journey of Norwegian black metal and progressive soundscapes. There's some immensely complex compositions on this record, and it took me a few listens to get my head around the whole thing. The performances all around are stellar, and this album feels like a journey in itself. I fell in love with Enslaved when Below the Lights came out, and that's still my favorite Enslaved record, but Utgard sits right up there among my favorites in their discography. Check out this clip from Homebound. You can support Enslaved on their Bandcamp. Check out this record if you love black metal. On the progressive side, you definitely won't be disappointed. Ben, what's your next pick?
I still need to wrap my head around that. As you said, that is a very complex, in-depth record that deserves a lot of time and attention. My first pick is Aphonic Threnody, The Great Hatred. First, I'd like to thank our pal and faithful viewer, Josh Coe, for putting this one on my radar. Josh has been sending me a lot of bands to listen to, and I really appreciate that, so thank you to Josh. Released on Transcending Obscurity Records, this is Aphonic Threnody's third full-length album. This is an international band with some highly experienced players at the helm. I was actually happy to see that former Mar de Gracis keyboardist and vocalist Juan Escobar is actually involved in this band. Very cool. Love Mar de Gracis. I listened to a lot of melodic doom and death, so for something to really stand out, there has to be a lot of diversity, exceptional songwriting, and emotional content. This album has that all in spades. There are just so many awesome moments on this album that it can't be summed up in a short blurb. There is fantastic variety in the riffing, tempos, vocals, synths and keys, and musical delivery. The sonic qualities are great, especially the bass tone, something I'm really picky about. This album has everything I love about emotionally driven doom metal and quickly became an album of the month and year contender for me. Here's a clip from the title track, The Great Hatred. We cover a lot of bands in this genre, and this one definitely stood out this year. Be sure to support Aphonic Threnody's The Great Hatred, out now on Transcending Obscurity Records. Brandon, you're next.
I thought we were going to fight over which one of us is going to cover that album, but, I thought I'd let you have it because, the death doom is a little bit more up your way. So that's okay. Next one on my list is Pallbearer Forgotten Days, released October 23rd on Nuclear Blast. Pallbearer have been one of my favorite modern American doom bands since Sorrow and Extinction came out. They continue to blow my mind with their exploration into otherworldly sounds, and I love that they worship tone and emotion equally throughout their compositions. I have to admit, Heartless was an album that I didn't really connect with initially, but it definitely grew on me with their experimentation into progressive music territory. Forgotten Days feels like a natural progression for them. embracing their love for progressive music in addition to that huge wall of guitar doom sound of their earlier efforts. At first, I wasn't really sure what to make of this record, but after sitting with it multiple times, I think it's absolutely brilliant. There's a lot to love here, and I think fans of the older sound, in addition to where they were experimenting with Heartless, will dig this album a lot. There's some devastating riffs on this album that I cannot wait to see live someday. Here's a clip from Silver Wings. Stunning record, easily one of the most anticipated releases from this year. You can support Pallbearer on their Bandcamp. They've got CDs, tapes, and vinyl for sale. Before we get into our last picks, be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel if you want to see more metal reviews in the form of top lists, best of the metal underground, reactions, and interviews. Hit us up on our socials, leave us a comment. We love to hear about what you're listening to and suggestions from you guys. Hit that notification button so that you never miss a video. Ben, what do you have next?
Absolutely digging that Pallbearer album, man. And that song, oh, so good, man. Just so good. That was a great release. And as you said, one of the most anticipated of this year. My next one is Lord Almighty Wither. It's no surprise that Lord Almighty's Wither made it to my top albums of this month. This album is the second full-length from the Boston-based metal band. Even though it was released independently, this band has gotten some really good traction in press. Their video for Adrift has 374,000 views, which is nuts. This attention, though, is well-deserved. Lord Almighty is easily one of the area's best black metal bands. 2015's Paths was a constant listen for me, and 5 years later, they have released a fantastic follow-up. They're tough to define, their subgenre. They have elements of black metal, thrash, sludge, and just some good old-fashioned groovy hard rock. They are always pushing the elements and exploring what it means to be an extreme metal band that can also write catchy songs. They never overdo it. All their songs are perfectly paced and well-timed. These guys are really masterful songwriters, and as a whole, this album feels very cohesive. Topped off with a great production and unique guitar tones. We are suckers for unique guitar tones over here. Wither really deserves a spot on my albums of the month for October. Here's a clip from my highlight song, Hooded 3. Lord Almighty is a band that needs to be on your radar if you love catchy, melodic, guitar-driven black metal. They have vinyls for sale on their website. Don't miss out on these guys. Brandon, go!
That's a great pick. The Lord Almighty record is freaking awesome, and you nailed it with the whole guitar tone thing. Those guys are total tone chasers, and it's a great reason to love that record, in addition to the fantastic songwriting. The next one on my list is Hellripper, The Affair of the Poisons. This was released on October 9th on Peaceville Records. Blackened thrash metal is quickly becoming one of my favorite genres, and I feel like I'm kind of late to the party there. With this year's release of Midnight's Rebirth by Blasphemy, I knew that I needed more. Hellripper's latest record is mind-blowing, as it's a one-man project. Come on. I love when the artist takes the reins and isn't afraid to do everything, and this album is 29 minutes of absolute evil, speed, and darkness. The vocals are feral and barbaric, the riffs are vicious, and the songs blaze in malevolent fury. I've spun this record so many times since it came out. The choice to go with an old school production is fitting for this record, and it complements the evil, spellbinding atmosphere. Here's a clip from Vampire's Grave. You can support Hellripper on their Bandcamp where they have CDs, LPs, and cassettes. Grab something for your Halloween black metal collection. Hail Satan. Ben, what's your next pick?
Thank you, Brandon. I am excited to check that one out. And my next pick is Invernoir, The Void and the Unbearable Loss. Once again, we're talking about Invernoir. Sorry, not sorry. It is the debut full-length from the Italian Gothic Doomsters. It is a record that really portrays what tragedy and grief sounds like. What I love about this album is that it just gets better as it moves along. There are enchanting clean vocals, sick guitar riffs backed by great synth parts that help drive the melodies. And some of the early parts of the album actually remind me of metalcore with screaming, syncopation, and dissonant leads in the background. And then it switches over to like a Discouraged Ones era Catatonia section. So awesome. I love the diversity on this album. This is not an album that can really be summarized by checking out only one song. Every song is a bit different, but never loses its emotional content. Here's a clip from my highlight song, The Loneliest. Those clean vocals, awesome. And I love the guitar melody on that song. It's an earworm. I hope that you'll consider checking out Invernoir and supporting them by grabbing their album, The Void and the Unbearable Loss, on the Funir Bandcamp, where they have CDs and digital versions available. Brandon, what do you got next?
I'm so glad that you put that on your list. It was on our Underground Spotlight and easily one of my favorites of the month. I'm so glad that you loved it because it's just such an amazing record. The last one on my list is Draconian, Under a Godless Veil, released October 30th on Napalm Records. Another one of my most anticipated records of 2020. This album is absolutely stunning. 1 hour of haunting gothic doom metal for fans of My Dying Bride and Trees of Eternity. The album artwork by Natalia Drapina is jaw-dropping and perfectly encapsulates the hauntingly beautiful sounds within this record. I love the production. It's crystal clear, but still very organic and extremely powerful. I love their ability to mix the angelic female clean vocals with that brutally harsh growl vocal sound alongside the melancholic heavy doom metal. The compositions on this record are perfect, and this album is a glorious return of the band since their release of Sovereign. Here's a clip from Sorrow of Sophia. You can support Draconian on their Bandcamp page or on the Napalm Records web store. Get this record if you love melodic doom. Just an aside here, for those of you who are interested, I actually covered the song Death Come Near Me with my wife, Bliss Auburn, and a good friend of ours, Jessica Rose of Virus of Ideals, on my other channel. The link will be in the description if you want to watch us cover our favorite Draconian song. Ben, what is your next pick?
Perfect pick there, Brandon. That is another one of my most anticipated album releases of this year. Draconian basically does no wrong, and this album that they just put out is amazing. My next and last pick is Crippled Black Phoenix with Ellen Guest. If you couldn't tell already, October is when I like to listen to music that is filled to the brim with emotional content. Crippled Black Phoenix's, that's a mouthful, Crippled Black Phoenix's 14th album just knocks it right out of the park. It is utterly haunting and introspective. You really need to be ready to explore your human condition when you put this record on. This is a band that has always proven to deliver something unique and powerful. They've been on Season of Mist since 2016, which really I feel is a good fit for this band because they're a blend of many genres. Ellen Guest features incredible moments of pure atmosphere. There are a wide variety of vocal styles, singers, and instruments. I love the audio recordings that are interspersed throughout the album that back the messages of the songs. The recordings sound like they're interviews with people about psychosis and mental health and things like that. This is not an entirely hopeless record, as the music conveys a sense of being uplifted and not being dismayed by our emotional and spiritual issues. Here's some of my highlight song, Cry of Love. Man, what a righteous song. I really wanted to include the song The Invisible Part because the singing on that track is just so moving. I urge you to check out Crippled Black Phoenix's Ellen Guest. This is one of the finest albums they've ever put out and really deserves your attention. They have a lot of merchandise available through Season of Mist. This has just been another month of incredible music. What are some of your favorites? Let us know below. Our channel is growing and we have you to thank for it. As I said in a previous video, our current goal is to hit 1,000 subscribers so that way we can utilize the community feature on YouTube and have a more direct line of communication with you, our viewers, and our pals. Every month we have segments like this where we top off our albums of the month and talk about underground bands that we discovered or were put in front of us by you. We're listening to you, so definitely be sure to reach out to us. You bring value to our channel, and we cannot do this appropriately without your support. I'm going to end today's episode with a quote from one of my heroes. Often when you think you're at the end of something, you're at the beginning of something else. Thank you, Fred Rogers, for your inspiration and motivation. Take care, neighbor.